So if you're listening to this, there's a chance you might be a creative entrepreneur. We're talking about social media content creator, you're an influencer, you are in the entertainment industry in a multi-hyphenate fashion way. I'm covering a lot by saying you are in the entertainment industry. And when you are in these industries, there's this concept that I've thought a lot about, which is graduating yourself. We all have been in moments where we have wanted to go to the next level or wanted to up our game, but are hesitant to leave that situation. And it's time to level up, get to the next level, and graduate yourself. And I bet you also waited a bit too long to do it.
So, you want to be an it girl?
So, my point being is when you're in these creative entrepreneurial careers, you have to do something called graduating yourself. This comes from a teacher I have named Gunnar at Actors Comedy Studio. He taught me this idea and I have run with it. When you are in these fields, you have to know your worth, your clout, if you will. And at some point, you have to say, I am above XYZ level and graduate yourself. There are no more report cards in entrepreneurial life. There's no, you got an A, you didn't pass all the classes, you did, 800 hours on set, you may have had 200 brand deals, whatnot. There is no marker for you have accomplished XYZ anymore. Entrepreneurial on some level will always be the Wild West. And so at some point, you have to tap yourself on the back and say, no, my worth and my work are now worth more, or I need to get out of this environment because I finished my time here. And that is graduating yourself. So if you're in that part before you fully come to the realization of it's time to graduate yourself, it's feeling a little stale. It's giving, I was going to say 2-month-old bread, but that would be moldy. The point is it's stale. It's a stale crouton. And it's just, you still love what you're doing on some level, and you still love maybe the people or the relationships you have in this place. Or like if you are, an influencer, you feel really comfortable being paid that amount for that thing, and you have a good relationship with the person, you keep making brand deals and you don't want to ruffle any feathers by asking for more or by changing the situation. You just don't want to ruffle any feathers, but your worth is now more than this. You've served your time, if you will. So it's feeling a little stale. You're not making any incline movement. It's just kind of lateral, and that's okay. And you still love it, but you need to find the freshness out again. And until you change the environment or change the ask of what you are asking, it's going to stay in that stale place. And I'm talking about a significant amount of time. I want to be really aware of that. Millennials and maybe Gen Z, even though I'm not Gen Z and I can't speak to it, even though sometimes I think I am, are really quick to think that like a week, a month is like enough time for it to be like, I've earned this. Like, no, I'm talking about years. I'm talking about significant hours. I'm not talking about, I'm like minimum 100 hours. I'm not talking about once, like the quick fix things, like you haven't earned that, like you're still building. So like a significant amount of time has been spent and you've really given it your all. You have worked your butt off at that tier. You've worked your butt off in that class, whatnot. You have given over and there is no rock unturned. Then it's like you've done the most. And maybe it's time to set a date and be like, okay, I have a plan to do X, Y, Z in this situation, in this bracket, in this tier. And then that should be done by XYZ date. And then give yourself a comfortable, but keep it a little bit shorter amount of time after that XYZ date. And you're like, okay, on, March 8th, 2023, I will no longer accept or do that thing. And you set a date for yourself a little shorter than you're comfortable with, because it pushes you to be aware of that. I'm moving on. I'm going to ask for more. I'm going to get a new job because I've earned it now. I have earned it. But I honestly think you do have to keep the urgency. Oh, that's why I say the little bit shorter times. You have to keep, it should make you a little bit nervous, because you should be like a little, not a lot, a little nervous and a little like pushing yourself to really be worth that leave date or that paid bracket date, whatever it may be. I also want to be careful of setting a date that is too comfortable, because then you will overstay. Not you're welcome, but overstay your attention span for it. And that's going to eventually detriment your well-being, your health in it. So it's time to examine what you've done there, or what you've done in that place, that bracket, that space. What is your worth now? What is the time and energy? And like, is that time and energy telling you? Is it screaming at you till you're red in the face that like, this is not serving me anymore? This is no longer conducive to the amount of effort or work, or I've just learned enough here that like, I don't need to be here anymore. You have to listen to your signs and not just stay in the act of doing. Like, I'm just doing it, or I'm just doing my job at this level, getting paid this much because that's what I'm supposed to do. And it's like, well, then if you're doing it great and you have no rocks unturned, then like, why can't we be asking and pushing for more? I mean, that's what we all need to be driving for when we're pursuing having the dreams that we all have. It's like, do you want to just stay at that entry level or maybe even mid-tier situation? No, I definitely know I don't. I really highly doubt that you do. You don't want to stay there. You want more. So like, if your energy is screaming at you, it's a big sign to start setting date and making markers for, this will be the last day that I take this kind of work. This will be the last day I take this kind of bracket. And then here's a little bit of amount of space until I feel comfortable, but a little less, to move on and no longer be in those situations. You have to listen to yourself. So I had this happen to me once. My body, my mind, my well-being was screaming at me. It was time to move on from a situation I was in. And I ignored it. I ignored it so hard. I thought it wasn't right. I thought, not yet. I'm not ready. I still need this. And I also I wasn't happy doing the thing. And I ignored all of the signs. And you know what ended up happening? I ended up having a complete mental breakdown. I mean, tears, panic attack, the whole freaking thing. And that is why it's so important to stop doing that thing before you get to completely burnt out, red battery, dead fall. You know, I've had a friend, it was really time for her to get a raise. And if not, her value at this company was just unseen. And I'm telling you, she was taking on more work than she should, being paid less than she should have been. And your body is screaming at her, telling her she needs to get the raise or she needs to leave. And so she did just that. She literally sat down with her boss and said, if I did not get a raise and a promotion by XYZ date, she made it a little shorter than she intended, just a little, then I'm going to have to leave this company because it doesn't suit my work and effort anymore. And, you know, it was really impressive of her to own that clout and that worth. Literally, guys, I'm not even kidding you. This happened yesterday. I was sitting at a cafe. I was eavesdropping on one of the workers talking to who I assume was her manager. And, you know, she was saying, you know, I'm leaving because I can't, what I'm being paid here, I can't afford, I can't afford to live anymore if I don't get promoted. She's like, I love this place. Will still come in after my end date if you guys need help filling in, but I can't do it anymore. I support myself. And that's what she literally said. I'm eavesdropping on this conversation. And she said it so clearly, and it wasn't worth her time or energy more. I don't think this job was really working towards her. It was a coffee shop, and maybe someone's dream is work at a coffee shop. I just didn't get the impression it was her dream to work at this coffee shop. But the point is, like, her worth knew it was enough and she needed to move on and quit. And let's talk about it a little bit when it's screaming at you and it's just in the creative thing. It's not what pays your bills. The creative markers of you've leveled out or you've outgrown something can be a lot harder because once again, you're not going to get that external validation. Like tap, tap, you're now a professional actor. There is no marker for that. So you are just going to have to learn how to read your temperature and be like, no, I have taken everything I can from here. And I say I with such emphasis because somebody might be able to get more out of it there than you can, which is great for them. But maybe it's because they hear things a different way, but you have learned all you can because we're all different and we all learn different things. This goes to the concept I mentioned a little bit last week is the goldfish. If you are a goldfish and you have an environment as a goldfish does, which is a single tank of water, your little goldfish swimming around in there, right? And you've been in that place for a really long time and none of the elements have changed. Your pay hasn't changed. You haven't met new people. You haven't really pushed yourself to do different things while you're floating around in your tank. What's going to happen to the water? It's going to get murky. This is something I learned from Jordan Shaw, by the way. It's going to get murky and it's going to get dirty. And that's not very good for the health of us as goldfish and as people. If our environment that we are creating and working on isn't getting fresh water, we need to add some clean water into that. So like, if that's where you're feeling in stale water, if you will, it's time to add maybe some different chemical. That doesn't make sense, but chemicals to the water to clean it. Or maybe just you need to add new fresh water. And that's what the idea of graduating yourself is. Once your water, you've completed what you can learn. But like we said, there's no report card anymore. So like you have to be the indicator of that pass, that graduate, my worth. And I think it's really hard and something that school does not enforce on us because we are told, hey, you're doing really well. A plus. Hey, you're doing half-assed, but like you're still passing. C. Like in the past, we've relied so much on other people telling us, but like when did we learn how to tell ourselves you've done enough? And that's what the idea of graduating yourself in an entrepreneurial freelance creative career is so important because you have to continue to push yourself to move upward. Because if you don't, who will? Like it's ridiculous for us to ask mentors and coaches to give us the 100% green flag, you're 100% ready, blah, 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 pat on the back and amazing encouragement. That's impossible. They're never going to know. But like the thing is, you have to know you're ready to move on. And I think that's the whole concept of graduating yourself. You're not going to go up if you stay in the same spot. You've earned it. You've earned that break. You have earned that opportunity to work in a different environment or be in a different environment because your experience that you had when you started in this place is no longer. That's why it's important that it has to be a significant amount of time, energy, or work, or just like level. Like if you're saying that after like one job or like one assignment, like how can you really have earned that leveling up? Like I don't really think you have. But after that significant amount of time, like you are different than you were when you started. So it would be ridiculous to think that you should be in the same place, being paid the same amount, doing the same exact thing that you did, well, let's say 5 years ago. 5 years ago was a significant amount of time. Don't you think that's the sign for change? And I think if you look at yourself and have a very honest conversation about, I have put in XYZ effort and I'm feeling stale or stuck. I don't really know where to go here. And I hope you are noticing it before you're at the point of complete burnout, because I think burnout is a sign of you've stayed somewhere too long, in a place too long. You need to realize that you have to be the person to be proactive to change your environment. Nobody's going to do it for you. I heard an agent say this at a casting director panel the other few weeks ago. She was like, I can't want your career more than you. And that is so true. Your teachers can't want your career more than you. Your coaches can't want your career more than you. Your parents, your friends, they can't want it more than you. So you have to be the person to say, hey, you know what? This is a past and it's time to move on. And on your experience, know your worth and do it with confidence that it's time for you to ask for more or different or change. And you should feel confident in that because at the end of the day, it goes back to you are getting your it. You are chasing your it, your dream, whatever is. And this could be at this point damaging your pursuit of it. We don't want to regress. So I think it's very important. I'm going to say it one more time to graduate yourself. So in regards to this fishbowl, we have another interesting idea to add to this. It's okay to take some water out of your bowl. And by doing that, maybe you're spreading yourself a little less thin. Maybe by taking some water or some, dirty rock out of the fishbowl, you're also letting go of like relationships, friendships, objects you don't need anymore. And it's cleansing your palate once again so that you can look at things with fresh new eyes and things can start to feel unstale again. And that's why it's so important to take care of the water in the fishbowl. Guys, thank you so much for listening to Confessions of a Wannabe It Girl. You can find us on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcasts. We come out with new episodes every Tuesday. See you next week.
So you want to be an it girl?